The research ship Gentle Current moved slowly through the dark space between stars. Its blue hull reflected the distant light of a nearby sun. Inside the ship, the Mirai crew worked quietly at their stations. They had been traveling for 3 months, running away from their destroyed homeworld. Captain Bomsu stood on the bridge, watching the stars through the big window. His tall, thin body showed the stress of leading refugees to safety. Behind him, the science officer Yujin checked her instruments for the 100th time that day. "Captain," Yujin called out, "I'm getting a strange reading. Something small is floating out there." Bomsu turned around. "Show me." The main screen lit up with an image of a damaged metal pod. It was spinning slowly, pieces of broken metal floating around it. Strange markings covered its surface in a language none of them had seen before. "What do you think it is?" asked Heian, the ship's doctor. She had just arrived on the bridge after hearing the excitement in Yujin's voice. "It looks like an escape pod," Yujin said, "but the design is completely unknown. The metal is different from anything in our database." Bomsu studied the pod carefully. His people, the Mirai, had met many different alien species during their long history of peaceful exploration. But this was something new. "Are there any life signs?" he asked. Yujin worked at her controls. "Yes, but they're very weak. Whatever is inside is dying." The bridge fell silent. The Mirai had always believed in helping others, but they were refugees themselves now. They had limited supplies and a long journey ahead of them. "We should help," Heian said quietly. "It's what we do. But we don't know what's inside," warned So-Young, the young engineer who had just joined them. "It could be dangerous." Bomsu thought for a long moment. The Vorthon Empire had destroyed their world because the Mirai were peaceful. Now they faced the same choice that defined their people: help a stranger or think only of themselves. "Bring it aboard," he decided. "But be careful." The ship's tractor beam pulled the escape pod into the cargo bay. The crew gathered around it, wearing protective suits. The pod was badly damaged, with burn marks and holes in its hull. Yujin found the opening mechanism after studying the strange controls. The pod hissed open and white vapor poured out. Inside lay a creature unlike any they had seen. The being was smaller than a Mirai, with dark hair and pale skin. It wore a torn uniform with more of those strange markings. Blood covered its face and hands. Its breathing was shallow and quick. "It's dying," Heian said, kneeling beside the creature. "Help me get it to the medical bay." They carefully moved the unconscious being to Heian's medical room. She began scanning it with her instruments while the others watched. "Fascinating," she whispered. "The body structure is similar to ours in some ways, but completely different in others. The blood is red instead of blue. And look at these hands, only 5 fingers, but so flexible." "Can you save it?" Bomsu asked. "I don't know. The injuries are severe. Burns, broken bones, and something wrong with the breathing system. I'll need to work fast." For the next 6 hours, Heian fought to save the stranger's life. She used every skill she had learned in her long career. The creature's body was tough, fighting to live even when everything seemed hopeless. The others took turns watching. Yujin studied the escape pod, trying to understand where it came from. She found data crystals with information but couldn't read the language. "The pod was damaged by weapons," she reported to Bomsu. "Energy weapons like the ones the Vorthons use. This creature was running from something terrible, late in the ship's night cycle." The creature's eyes opened. They were brown, unlike any color the Mirai had seen in a living being's eyes. The creature looked around in confusion and fear. "Easy," Heian said softly. "You're safe now." The creature tried to speak, but only strange sounds came out. It pointed to itself and said something that sounded like Deho. "I think that's its name," Heian told the others. "Deho." Deho tried to sit up, but his injuries were still too severe. Heian gently pushed him back down. She showed him water and he nodded eagerly. She helped him drink and he seemed grateful. Over the next few days, Deho's condition slowly improved. The Mirai medical technology was more advanced than anything his people had, and his body healed quickly. But his eyes always held sadness, as if he had lost something precious. Yujin worked on translating the data from his escape pod. She discovered images of a large ship filled with creatures like Daeho. The ship was called New Seoul, and it had been destroyed by Vorthon warships. His people were refugees too, she told Bomsu. They were looking for a new home when the Vorthons found them. Bomsu felt a deep sadness. Another peaceful people destroyed by the Empire's endless hunger for conquest. At least they had saved one life from that tragedy. When Daeho was strong enough, they brought him to the bridge. He saw the stars through the window and tears filled his eyes. Yujin showed him the images from his pod's computer, and he touched the screen gently when he saw his destroyed ship. He pointed to the Vorthons in the images and made angry sounds. Then he pointed to the Mirai and pressed his hands together, bowing his head. Even without words, his meaning was clear. He was grateful for their help. Heian brought him food and he ate slowly. Everything was strange to him, but he tried to understand. When he finished, he pointed to himself again and said, Daeho, more clearly. Then he pointed to each of them with a questioning look. Heian, the doctor said, pointing to herself. Bomsu, Yujin, So Young. Daeho repeated each name carefully, his voice getting stronger. When he pointed to the ship around them, Yujin said Gentle Current and then Mirai while pointing to herself. Understanding filled Daeho's eyes. He was among the Mirai people aboard their ship. These aliens had saved his life when his own people were destroyed. That night, as the ship continued its journey through space, Daeho lay in the medical bay thinking about his rescue. He had lost everything, his ship, his mission, his people, but these strange, kind beings had given him life again. He didn't know that this moment would change the galaxy forever. He was just one human, saved by compassionate aliens who chose to help a stranger. But sometimes one life saved can save millions in return. 3 months had passed since the Mirai found Daeho. The human had learned to speak their language with surprising speed. His mind worked differently than theirs, always looking for new ways to solve problems. This fascinated the Mirai crew, especially So Young, the young engineer. Daeho spent most of his time in the engineering section with So Young. She showed him how their ships worked, and he shared ideas from human technology. The Mirai ships were powered by clean energy and built for research, not for running from enemies. Your people build beautiful things, Daeho told So Young as they worked on improving the life support systems. But why don't you have any weapons? So Young looked confused. Weapons? Why would we need weapons? To defend yourselves, to protect your families. We have never needed to fight anyone. So Young said, all the species we've met have been peaceful like us. Daeho felt sad for these innocent people. They had lived in a galaxy where everyone was kind, until the Vorthons came. Now they were learning the hard way that not everyone wanted peace. The Gentle Current was part of a larger group of Mirai refugee ships, 12 ships in total, carrying the last survivors of their world. They were heading to a distant star system where they hoped to build a new home. Captain Bomsu called Daeho to the bridge one morning. Yujin had been teaching the human about Mirai history and culture. Through the big windows, Daeho could see the other refugee ships traveling together. We want to ask you something, Bomsu said. Yujin has been studying your escape pod's computer. She found star maps and communication frequencies. Do you know if any more of your people survived? Daeho's heart jumped with hope. Maybe. The colony fleet had 40 ships when we left Earth. Mine was just one of them. Earth? Yujin asked. Is that your homeworld? Yes. But we left many years ago to find new places to live. Humans spread out across many stars. Daeho paused, remembering. The Vorthons found us first. They said humans were dangerous and had to be destroyed. Dangerous? So Young laughed. You're one person against our whole ship. How could your people be dangerous? Daeho smiled sadly. Humans are good at fighting when we have to be. Maybe that scared the Vorthons. Dr. Hayin joined them on the bridge. She had been studying Daeho's biology and was amazed by what she found. Your people heal very fast, she told him, and your brain works much quicker than ours in some ways. Evolution, Daeho explained. Humans came from a world with many predators. We had to be tough and smart to survive. The conversation was interrupted by alarms. Yujin's instruments showed ships approaching fast. Captain Bomsu's face went pale when he saw the readings. Vorthon scouts, he whispered. 3 ships moving to attack. The refugee fleet tried to run, but the Vorthon ships were faster and built for war. They had gray hulls covered in weapons and thick armor. The lead ship sent a message that Yujin translated. They're ordering us to stop for inspection. They say any ship that runs will be destroyed. What do we do? So, Young asked, fear in her voice. Daeho studied the tactical display. His human mind quickly understood the situation. How fast can your ships turn? He asked. Turn? Why would we turn? Bomsu was confused. Because those scouts are overconfident. They think you'll just surrender. But if 3 ships move in a line to surround you, and you suddenly change direction, Daeho quickly explained his plan. The Mirai had never thought about space combat before, but his ideas made sense. Instead of running straight, the refugee ships would split up and use their superior maneuverability. It's crazy, Yujin said, but it might work. Captain Bomsu made the decision. He ordered the fleet to follow Daeho's plan. When the Vorthon ships moved to surround them, the Mirai ships suddenly scattered in different directions. The Vorthons opened fire, but their heavy weapons couldn't track the quick Mirai ships. 1 refugee ship took damage, but the others escaped into hyperspace. The gentle current was the last to jump, and Daeho watched the frustrated Vorthon ships fall behind. We did it, So Young shouted with joy. Your plan worked. But Daeho looked worried. They'll call for help. More ships will come looking for us. In the days that followed, the refugee fleet had to keep moving and hiding. Daeho worked with So Young to improve their ship's defenses. He showed her how to make the engines run quieter and how to strengthen the hull without adding weight. Dr. Hazian spent time talking with Daeho about his people and their history. She learned that humans had fought many wars on their home world, but had also created beautiful art and music. They were a species of contradictions, capable of great violence and great kindness. The Vorthons fear us because we understand war, Daeho explained. But they don't understand that humans also know when to fight and when to make peace. Yujin shared the historical records she had gathered about the Vorthon Empire. In the past 10 years, they had destroyed 17 different civilizations. All of them had been peaceful species like the Mirai. They wipe out anyone who might threaten their power, she said. Even peaceful people like us. But why? Asked So Young. What do they gain from destroying others? Control, Daeho said. Some species think that being the strongest means you have to crush everyone else. The refugee fleet reached a hidden asteroid field where other survivors had gathered. Daeho was amazed to see ships from many different alien species. All of them were running from the Vorthons. He met beings with crystal skin, others that looked like walking trees, and some that lived in water-filled ships. Each species had its own story of loss and escape, but they all shared the same look of fear and sadness. An old Mirai historian named Minho showed Daeho records of all the destroyed worlds. Each one had been home to millions of innocent beings. Children, families, artists, scientists, all gone because they couldn't fight back. So many lost, Minho said sadly. And more die every day. Daeho felt anger building inside him. These peaceful people deserved to live free from fear. They had saved his life when they could have left him to die. Now he wanted to save them all. That night he asked Captain Bomsu about their communication systems. Can you send a message very far into space? Yes, but why? Because I want to try something. There might be other humans out there. And if there are, they need to know what's happening here. Bomsu agreed to help. They set up the most powerful transmitter they had and aimed it toward the area where Daeho's colony fleet had been destroyed. The message was simple but desperate. "This is Daeho of the colony ship New Soul. I'm alive, saved by the Mirai people. The Vorthons are destroying peaceful species across the galaxy. If any humans receive this, please help. These good people saved one of us. Now they need saving too." The message shot out into the dark space between stars. Daeho didn't know if anyone would hear it. He didn't know that human warships were already hunting for Vorthon forces. He just hoped that somewhere out there, his people remembered what it meant to protect the innocent. The refugee ships continued their journey, carrying their precious cargo of survivors toward an uncertain future. But now they carried something else too, the hope that help might be coming. Far across the galaxy, the massive human warship Busan's Pride cut through space like a sword. Its black hull was covered in armor and weapons, built for one purpose: war. Admiral Gite stood on the command bridge, studying reports from his fleet. It had been 5 years since the Vorthons attacked the human colony ships. 5 years of hunting, preparing, and growing stronger. The human race had learned hard lessons from that first attack, and they would never be caught defenseless again. "Admiral," called Nari, the fleet's intelligence officer, "we're receiving a transmission on the old colony frequency." Gitai turned quickly. "From where?" "Deep space, Sector 7. It's very weak, but the signature is definitely human." The bridge fell silent. They had been searching for survivors for years without finding any. Nari worked at her controls, cleaning up the signal. Finally, a voice came through the speakers. "This is Daeho of the colony ship New Soul. I'm alive, saved by the Mirai people." As the message played, Gitai's face grew hard with anger and determination. One of their people was alive, saved by aliens. And those same aliens were now being hunted by the Vorthons. "Get me Fleet Commander A-Ri and General Sun Wu," Gitai ordered. "Emergency meeting in 10 minutes. The 3 senior officers gathered in the war room. Maps of the galaxy covered the walls marked with Vorthon positions and human fleet movements. Irie was a tall woman with scars from the first Vorthon attack. Sun Wu was older, a veteran of many battles who commanded the fleet's Marines. "One survivor," Irie said after hearing the message. "After all this time?" "More than that," Gitai replied. "This proves the Vorthons are still killing innocent species. We need to find this Daeho and his alien friends." Nari had been working to trace the signal. "I have approximate coordinates, but it's a big area to search. The aliens seem to be moving, probably running from Vorthon forces." General Sun Wu studied the star charts. "That sector is deep in Vorthon space. If we go, there we'll be fighting our way in and out." "Good," Gitai said grimly. "It's time the Vorthons learned what humans do to bullies." The human fleet had grown since the colony attack. 37 warships, each one designed with hard-won knowledge of Vorthon tactics. The humans had studied every piece of wreckage from the destroyed colony ships, learning their enemy's strengths and weaknesses. Chief Engineer Teo joined the meeting. He was a thin man who knew every bolt and wire in the human ships. "Sir, if we're going into Vorthon space, I recommend we modify our weapons. The intelligence reports say they've upgraded their shields." "Do it," Gitai ordered. "How long do we need?" 6 hours for basic modifications, 2 days for the full upgrade package." "You have 6 hours. We leave as soon as we're ready." The human fleet moved like a pack of wolves hunting prey. They jumped through hyperspace in short hops, avoiding Vorthon patrol routes that Nari had mapped over years of careful intelligence gathering. When they reached the target sector, they found signs of recent battle. Wreckage floated in space, pieces of ships from species they didn't recognize. The humans collected samples while scanning for any trace of the refugees. "Multiple energy signatures," reported the sensor officer. "Looks like a running battle. Happened here 3 days ago." Ari studied the tactical display. Vorthon weapons patterns. They were chasing someone. "Follow the trail," Gitai ordered. The hunt led them to an asteroid field where the sensor readings became confused. Hundreds of large rocks created shadows where ships could hide. The human fleet moved carefully, ready for ambush. "Contact," called the communications officer. "Multiple ships, non-Vorthan design. They're scanning us." A voice came through the speakers, speaking in accented but clear human language. "Unknown ships, this is Captain Bomsu of the Mirai vessel Gentle Current. Please identify yourselves." Gitai smiled for the first time in weeks. "Captain Bomsu, this is Admiral Gitai of the Human Defense Fleet. We received a message from one of our people, a man named Deho." The response came quickly, filled with excitement. "Admiral, yes, Deho is here. He said humans might come, but we hoped, we prayed." "Permission to come aboard, Captain. We have much to discuss." The Gentle Current was unlike any ship the humans had seen. Where human ships were built for war, this vessel was designed for research and peaceful exploration. The corridors were wide and filled with natural light. Art covered the walls instead of weapon displays. Captain Bomsu met them at the airlock. He was tall and thin, with large eyes that showed both hope and fear. Behind him stood other aliens, the first non-human beings most of the humans had ever seen. "Welcome aboard," Bomsu said formally. "Your arrival gives us hope we had thought lost." Deho appeared, running down the corridor. He had grown thin during his months with the aliens, but his eyes were bright with joy. "Admiral, I can't believe, how did you find us?" "Your message reached us," Gite said, gripping the young man's shoulder. "Are you hurt? Are you well?" "I'm fine, sir. Better than fine. These people saved my life." Deho gestured to the aliens around them. "When the new soul was destroyed, they could have left me to die. Instead, they risked everything to help a stranger." Dr. Heian stepped forward. She had learned some human words during the months with Deho. "Admiral, welcome. Deho is good person. We learn much from him." Gitai bowed slightly, showing respect. "Doctor, we owe you a debt we can never repay. You saved one of our own." The aliens led them to a meeting room where Yujin had prepared displays showing the scope of the Vorthan threat. Star maps showed the destroyed worlds, the refugee movements, and the Empire's continuing expansion. 17 civilizations destroyed, Yujin explained through Daiho's translation. Millions of beings killed or enslaved. All peaceful species who couldn't defend themselves. General Sun Wu studied the tactical information with growing anger. "They're systematically wiping out anyone who might oppose them." "Not just oppose," Deho said. "Anyone who might someday grow strong enough to resist. The Vorthans fear the idea of equals." Nari was recording everything. "Sir, this intelligence is incredible. We've been hunting Vorthan military units, but we didn't realize the scale of their genocide. Engineer So Young showed them Mirai technology, energy shields, advanced sensors, and propulsion systems far beyond current human capability." Teo's eyes went wide as he saw how their ships worked. "This is remarkable," he whispered. "Clean energy, no pollution, incredibly efficient." "They have the technology to help us," Ari said quietly to Gite, "and we have the military knowledge to help them." The meeting continued for hours. The humans learned about dozens of alien species hiding in the asteroid field, all refugees from Vorthan attacks. Some had been running for years, others had lost their worlds just weeks ago. "How many survivors total?" Gitai asked. "Nearly half. 1,000,000, Bomsu replied. "From 12 different species, all that remains of once great civilizations." The Admiral felt the weight of that number. 500,000 innocent beings depending on scattered refugee fleets for survival, while their enemies grew stronger every day. "Captain," he said finally, "I want to make you an offer. The human fleet has been hunting Vorthans for 5 years. We've learned how to fight them, how to hurt them, but we're not strong enough alone to stop their empire. What do you propose? An alliance. Your people have technology we need. We have military experience you need. Together we might be able to stop this genocide and take back what the Vorthans have stolen." The aliens looked at each other uncertainly. They had never considered fighting back before. "Admiral," Bomsu said carefully, "we are not a warrior people. We do not know how to make war. You don't need to know how to make war, Gite replied. You just need to know why to make war. And you've already learned that, to protect innocent lives from those who would destroy them. Deho spoke up. Captain, these are my people. I've lived with you long enough to know your hearts. You saved me because it was right. Now we have a chance to save everyone else. The room fell silent as the aliens considered this unprecedented choice. For the first time in their history, peaceful species might choose to fight back against their oppressors. Outside the meeting room, the human fleet waited among the refugee ships, weapons ready to defend these newfound allies. The galaxy was about to change forever. The asteroid field had become a hidden city in space. Refugee ships from a dozen species floated between the giant rocks, connected by temporary bridges and communication links. For the first time since the Vorthon attacks began, the survivors had something they had thought lost forever: hope. Admiral Gite stood in the main meeting hall aboard the Mirai flagship, looking at the most unusual gathering in galactic history. Representatives from 12 different species sat around a circular table, with humans serving as both guests and potential protectors. In Wu, the human diplomatic officer, worked with Yejin, a Mirai cultural expert, to establish communication with each species. Many of the aliens had never seen humans before, and the first meetings were tense. The crystalline Threnody representative, who called herself Yunji, spoke through harmonic vibrations that had to be translated by computer. Your species has a reputation for violence, she said to Admiral Gite. The Vorthons warned all civilizations about human aggression. The Vorthons say many things, Gite replied calmly, but here we are offering help to those they've tried to destroy. Judge us by our actions, not their words. Yunji's crystal body changed colors as she considered this. The Threnody were ancient beings who thought slowly but deeply. You saved the Mirai human Daiho. This suggests honor, but war brings suffering to innocence. Daiho had become the bridge between species. He spent his days moving from ship to ship, learning languages and sharing his story. His months with the Mirai had taught him patience and diplomacy that pure humans rarely possessed. Honored Yunji, he said respectfully, my people have a saying. The only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. The Vorthons count on peaceful species staying peaceful while they commit genocide. Subin, a human marine sergeant, had been working with alien volunteers who wanted to learn basic self-defense. The sessions were awkward at first. Most of the aliens had never even thought about fighting before. It's not about becoming warriors, she explained to a group of young Mirai, including So Young. It's about protecting your families and your shipmates. So Young struggled with the human combat moves. Her tall, thin body wasn't built for fighting, but she was determined to learn. Sergeant Subin, humans make fighting look easy. It's not easy, Subin replied. But it's necessary. Your people saved one of us. Now we teach you how to save yourselves. Jae-min, a human tactical analyst, worked with alien scientists to study Vorthon military patterns. The refugee ships had collected data from every attack they had survived. Combined with human intelligence, a clear picture emerged of how the Empire operated. They follow the same pattern every time, Jae-min explained to the mixed group of humans and aliens. Scout ships locate targets, then they send overwhelming force to destroy resistance quickly. Yujin, who had become fascinated with human strategic thinking, asked, but what if there is no quick victory? What if their enemies fight back effectively? Then they have problems, said Nari, the human intelligence chief. The Vorthon Empire relies on fear and quick conquests. They've never faced organized resistance from multiple species working together. The alliance grew slowly as trust built between species. The aquatic Nereid contributed stealth technology that could hide ships from Vorthon sensors. The insectoid, Klaxon, offered perfect coordination abilities. Their hive mind could control hundreds of small ships as one unit. Engineer Tayo worked day and night with alien scientists to develop hybrid technologies. Mirai shields combined with human weapon systems. Nereid stealth generators mounted on human fighters. Klaxon coordination networks linking mixed species squadrons. It's like putting together a puzzle, he told So Young, as they worked on shield modifications. Each species brings pieces that fit together in ways none of us expected. Captain Bomsu had become the unofficial leader of the alien refugees. His calm wisdom helped other species trust the humans, while his growing friendship with Admiral Gite showed both sides could work together. Your people learn quickly, he told Gite during one of their evening discussions. Daeho has taught us much about human adaptability. And your people have taught us about cooperation, Gite replied. Humans are used to fighting alone. This alliance makes us all stronger. But not everyone was convinced. Some aliens feared that working with humans would make them targets for even worse Vorthon retaliation. Others worried that humans would abandon them once the immediate threat was over. The concerns came to a head during a heated council meeting. A representative of the tree-like Verdani spoke through chemical signals that smelled like flowers and fear. Humans fight for vengeance, the translation device interpreted. When vengeance is complete, will you still protect smaller species? The room fell silent. It was the question everyone had been thinking but afraid to ask. Daeho stood up slowly. Before I was rescued, I thought I knew everything about survival. I thought humans had to be strong alone, but the Mirai taught me something new. He gestured to Hai-In, who had saved his life. Dr. Hai-In didn't help me because I was useful. She didn't help me because her people would benefit. She helped me because it was right. Because when you have the power to save a life, you use that power. That's what this alliance is really about, he continued. Not just stopping the Vorthons, but proving that different species can choose to protect each other instead of conquering each other. Admiral Gite nodded. The human fleet was built to hunt down those who destroyed our colony ships. But we've learned something from you. Strength means nothing if you don't use it to protect those who can't protect themselves. Young Su, a human pilot, had been training with alien crew members to form mixed-species fighter squadrons. The early attempts were disasters. Different species thought and reacted at different speeds. But gradually they learned to work together. The key is not making everyone the same, he explained to his mixed squadron. The key is using each person's strengths to help the whole team. Meanwhile, human intelligence operative Kyung-ho worked with Ji-Won, a shape-shifting phantom who could infiltrate enemy positions. Their missions into Vorthon space brought back disturbing news. They're preparing something big, Kyung-ho reported to the council. Military buildups at major bases. Propaganda about a great cleansing of remaining inferior species. Ji-Won's shifting features showed worry. They planned to finish what they started, wipe out all survivors in one massive campaign. The news galvanized the alliance. Time was running out for peaceful solutions. The Vorthons weren't content to slowly hunt down refugee fleets. They wanted to end the problem of lesser species once and for all. How long do we have? Asked Captain Bomsu. Months, maybe weeks, Nari replied after studying the intelligence data. They're moving fleets from across the empire. Admiral Gite looked around the council table at the representatives of so many different worlds. Then we don't have time for more preparation. The choice is simple. We fight together now, or we die separately later. The vote was unanimous. 12 species, many of whom had never raised a weapon in anger, chose to stand and fight against the greatest military power in the galaxy. As the council meeting ended, Daeho walked with Hai-In to observe the mixed fleet gathering outside. Human warships floated alongside Mirai research vessels that had been hastily fitted with weapons. Threnody crystal ships gleamed next to Nereid stealth craft that seemed to bend light around them. Do you think we can win? Hai-In asked. Daeho watched a human fighter pilot teaching a young Mirai how to use targeting systems. 6 months ago I was dying in an escape pod. You saved me even though it was dangerous. Now look what that one choice has become. The doctor's large eyes reflected the lights of 1,000 ships preparing for war. One small act of kindness, leading to this. That's what humans call the butterfly effect, Daeho said. Small changes that create big results. The Vorthons think they can predict everything, control everything, but they never planned for this. The Alliance fleet prepared to leave the asteroid field. For the first time in years, the galaxy would see not refugees running in fear, but a united force, striking back against those who preyed on the innocent. The combined fleet was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human warships moved in formation with alien vessels that looked more like living organisms than machines. The sight would have been beautiful if not for the deadly purpose that brought them together. Aboard the flagship Busan's Pride, Admiral Gite met with his expanded command staff. The bridge now included alien officers working alongside humans, their different forms of communication creating a symphony of clicks, harmonics, and spoken words. Dong Hyun, the human science officer, worked closely with Chan Ho, a Mirai physicist who had volunteered to join the military effort. Together, they had developed weapons that combined human destructive power with alien precision technology. The new plasma cannons are ready, Dong Hyun reported. Mirai focusing crystals increase our damage output by 60% while reducing energy consumption. And the Nereid stealth systems? Asked Fleet Commander Ari. Installed on our scout ships, replied Chan Ho in his careful human speech. Your pilot's learning to use invisible approach. Very effective for surprise attacks, though the alliance had grown beyond what anyone thought possible. More refugee fleets had joined them after word spread through hidden communication networks. The combined force now numbered over 200 ships of various sizes and capabilities. Wu Jin, the human strategic planner, had worked with representatives from each species to develop tactics that used everyone's strengths. His planning sessions looked like meetings of the Galactic Council rather than military briefings. The Klaxon swarm tactics will confuse their targeting systems, he explained to the mixed command staff. While they're dealing with hundreds of small ships, our heavy units can hit their main vessels. The insectoid Klaxon commander spoke through rapid clicking sounds. The translation device converted his words. Hive mind coordination allows perfect timing. No confusion, no friendly fire incidents. Young Su had become the leader of the mixed fighter squadrons. His pilots included humans, Mirai, Threnody, and several other species. Training them to work together had been like learning a completely new form of combat. Remember, he told his diverse squadron over the communication system, speed means nothing if you can't hit your target. The Threnody crystal ships are slow but incredibly accurate. Human fighters are fast but need time to aim. Work together and cover each other's weaknesses. The alien pilots had surprised everyone with their dedication. Species that had never fought before now practiced combat maneuvers with the intensity of veteran warriors. So Young had become one of the best Mirai pilots, her engineer's mind helping her understand the machines better than most humans. Meanwhile, Kyung Ho and his alien intelligence team brought back crucial information from their raids into Vorthon, space. The shape-shifting G1 had infiltrated a major Vorthon base and discovered their invasion plans. The Great Cleansing begins in 2 weeks, Kyung Ho reported to the command staff. 12 battle fleets will simultaneously attack every known refugee concentration. They plan to finish this war in a single coordinated strike. How many ships? Asked General Sun Woo. Over 3,000 Vorthon vessels, Ji-won replied, her features shifting with worry. The largest military operation in their history. The command staff fell silent. Even with their growing alliance, they barely had 200 ships. The Momai odds were overwhelming. We can't meet them in direct battle, Admiral Gite said finally. But we don't have to. Wu Jin spread out tactical displays showing Vorthon space. Sir, if they're committing everything to this offensive, their home systems will be lightly defended. Exactly. While they're hunting refugees who no longer exist, we hit their core worlds, cut off their supplies, destroy their shipyards, force them to come back and defend what they've stolen. The plan was ambitious beyond anything the Alliance had attempted. Instead of running or hiding, they would attack the heart of the Vorthon Empire while the enemy fleet was deployed elsewhere. Engineer Tayo worked with alien technicians to prepare the ships for the deep strike mission. They installed Nereid stealth systems on the entire fleet and upgraded weapons with technology from half a dozen species. The hybrid systems are performing better than expected, he reported. Combining different technologies creates capabilities none of us had alone. Dr. Hayen had set up medical facilities aboard the human ships, training alien medics to treat injuries from species they had never seen before. The diversity that made the alliance strong also made medical care incredibly complex. Each species heals differently, she explained to her mixed medical staff. But pain and fear are universal. Treat the being, not just the injuries. As the fleet prepared to leave the asteroid field, Daeho walked through the ships visiting friends he had made among different species. His journey from dying refugee to alliance coordinator still amazed him. On the Threnody crystal ship, he found Yunji in meditation. The ancient being's crystalline form pulsed with slow, deep colors. "Are you afraid?" he asked her. "Fear is not the correct concept," she replied through harmonic vibrations. "We feel uncertainty about outcomes, but certainty about necessity. The Vorthans must be stopped." Aboard a Klaxon vessel, he watched hundreds of insectoid beings move in perfect synchronization as they prepared weapon systems. Their hive mind made them incredibly efficient, but also somewhat alien to individual-focused humans. The Klaxon Prime, speaking for the entire ship, clicked rapid instructions to him. "Human Daeho, the hive appreciates instruction in individual initiative. Valuable concept for independent operations." On the Nereid waterships, he met with their flowing aquatic leaders. These beings had contributed stealth technology that made the entire mission possible. "The currents speak of change coming," one of them told him through bubbling water speech. "Your species brings new flows to the galaxy." The night before the attack, Admiral Gite called all ship captains to a final briefing. The gathering included beings of every shape and size imaginable, united by their determination to end Vorthan tyranny. "Tomorrow we make history," he told them. "For the first time, the oppressed species of this galaxy fight back as one. Win or lose, the Vorthans will learn that genocide has consequences." Captain Bomsu spoke for the alien vessels. "Admiral, when my people found your human Daeho, we saved one life. Now that one life has helped save us all. Perhaps this is how justice works, small acts of mercy growing into great movements of liberation." The fleet departed in waves, using different routes to avoid detection. Human warships led each group, their crews now including alien officers who brought new perspectives to every decision. The Mirai ships followed, converted from research vessels to support craft but maintaining their focus on preserving life. Stealth ships scouted ahead while the main force approached Vorthan core systems. The enemy had indeed committed most of their military to the Great Cleansing operation. Their homeworlds were defended by older ships and garrison forces that had never faced serious opposition. "All units, this is Admiral Gite," came the final transmission as they dropped out of hyperspace. "Remember why we're here. Not for conquest, not for revenge, but to protect innocent lives from those who would destroy them. Today we show the galaxy what unity can accomplish." The Alliance fleet spread out across multiple systems, targeting shipyards, supply depots, and command centers. For the first time in decades, Vorthan worlds faced attack instead of being the attackers. On the bridge of the Busan's Pride, Daeho stood beside Admiral Gite as they watched their diverse fleet begin the largest coordinated strike in galactic history. 6 months ago, he had been a dying refugee. Now he was part of an alliance that would change everything. "Think it will work?" asked So Young, who had requested permission to serve on the human flagship during the battle. Daeho watched Mirai ships provide perfect sensor coverage, while Threnody crystal vessels targeted enemy weak points with mathematical precision. Klaxon. Swarms confused enemy defenses while Nereid stealth ships struck from impossible angles. "It's already working," he replied. "Look around you. A year ago, none of these species had ever worked together. Now they're fighting as one united force. Whatever happens today, the Vorthans have already lost the most important battle." The Alliance fleet struck simultaneously across a dozen worlds. The age of Vorthan dominance was ending, and the age of galactic cooperation was about to begin.